Hey, and welcome back to the Business Real Talk. On this episode, we're going to get into it and talk about what you actually need to focus on in your business if you want to double your revenue in 2024 using these 3 secret asset optimizers. So let's get real. Now, I'm so excited to have you guys here today. And the reality is you're successful. You're busy supporting your clients. You've got your marketing moving, and you want to take the right next steps to ensure that you are able to double your revenue this year without wasting time on the wrong things that just distract you or make it take a lot longer than it should. So what I want to share with you here today is what I call asset optimizers. These are the things that you're going to be able to apply within your business using the assets you already have in order to double your revenue this year and pocket more profits. Because the truth of the matter is most people end up getting distracted when it comes to being able to move their business forward and especially doubling their revenue. And they overlook these simple things within your business model right now. They're going to help you optimize the assets you already have to drive better and faster results. So let's start with what I call scalable results. The reality is your programs and the way that you deliver results to your clients are going to have the biggest effect on whether or not you're able to double your revenue this year. Single-handedly, this can make or break a scaling business. And I see it all the time with business owners who scale too fast and don't have the back end of their business and the delivery of their program set up in a way that actually drives better results. And it ends up crashing and burning their business. A great example of this is just a few years ago, I had decided that maybe it was time to outsource my content. Now, the woman I had chosen to help me had come highly recommended. She had a great writing style, and I had seen the results of her work and what had come out of it. So I had committed to spending a hefty amount each month, $3,000 a month on content. And the deliverables were supposed to be that she was supposed to give me social media content for the week, as well as emails that would come from me sharing stories and ideas via Voxer. Now, 30 days in, and I found myself in a nightmare situation where I was chasing her down, asking for where the content was, needing to make revision after revision, and finding that all of my content started to sound the same. So why had this woman who had blown me away suddenly left me completely unimpressed and frustrated? Now, the reason was she had scaled too fast, and after doubling her client load, her results had plummeted. Now, years later, after we had parted, she came back to me and shared her struggle and how she had completely ruined her reputation and took an entire year to have to build back her business as a result of scaling too quickly. Now, so often I see this happen all the time. We jump the gun. We go full force in our marketing and we push and shove in our business in a way where we're not actually set up to handle that uptick in clients. And I ask this question all the time. If you were to get 20, 30, 40 new clients tomorrow, would you be able to drive the same results you have been when you're working with a smaller number of clients? This is why it's so important to understand why doubling your revenue starts by focusing on client delivery first. And it starts by asking yourself just 2 simple questions. So get a pen and paper if you don't already have it. Number 1 is, are you able to double the number of clients you serve with the programs that you have now? So if that means right now you're serving clients in a one-to-one or done for you capacity, if you were to get double the number of clients you have right now, let's say you're serving 5 clients and now you have 10 clients, would you be able to serve the same number of clients with the programs or delivery process you have in place right now? If you're working one-to-one, can you double that? If you're doing done for you, can you double that? If you have a group program, can you double the number of clients and still successfully serve those clients? Okay, that's question number 1. You need to answer yes or no and really take this seriously. And don't just answer yes if you feel like that's the easy way out. I want you to be sure that you would confidently be able to double the number of clients you have with the programs and delivery process you have right now. Question number 2, and probably the most important of them all, are you able to ensure with the increased number of clients you work with that you can consistently get the same world-class results? Okay, simply put, if we double the number of clients you had tomorrow, would you be able to output the same results you had previously? If the answer is no, stop. Do not go and market more in your business. Focus more on solidifying the delivery system within your business to ensure that you're able to do that. Now, many people talk about filling their programs and they go full force in running ads and adding more marketing, bringing more team on. But the reality is their programs haven't been set up in a way that actually allow their business to take on that increase in capacity in a way that's actually going to drive results for their clients. And here's what I want you to understand is that it doesn't mean that you need to outsource the delivery of your program to somebody else. And I hear this happening all over the internet. So many big gurus who essentially are teaching team-led businesses where you're no longer involved in the process of delivering results to your clients. Now, I'm going to say this first and foremost. If you're here and you're the type of person who wants that style of business, you're in the wrong place, because that's not something I'm really focusing on in serving my clients and in teaching my clients how to create high profit ecosystems. Now, before you think to yourself, but Naz, how the hell can I grow a wildly successful business? I'm talking 7, 8 figures without outsourcing myself within every aspect of the business. I'm going to break down for you why having a scalable offer doesn't necessarily require you to outsource yourself in the delivery of the process itself. Now, this comes from having helped dozens of clients who are in the 7 and 8 figure space really successfully scale a business model and their offerings in a way that allows them to continuously support their clients without them no longer being present. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, what this might look like, and I see this a lot, is that you are buying from one person. So you might be getting on a sales call with that person, or you're going through their marketing with that person. You get into the program and then you realize that you have absolutely no access to this person. Now, I want to be clear, we're specifically talking about information-based selling. So this is more specifically for you if you are a coach, a consultant, a course creator, someone who's driving results through the information that you share. If you are someone who's has a service, let's say you're a copywriter or you're a social media manager, there's still ways that you can optimize your systems within the delivery process so that allows you to do that. But ultimately, you are going to be capped at the number of clients you can probably take on individually. But we're still talking about how for you to be the leader and the CEO and still take on the strategic side of things without needing to burn yourself out, because that's what I see so often. And bringing on people to run your programs isn't going to fix the problem if right now you're spending so much time with your clients and it's taking up all of your time, because that's actually an issue. It's a signal that we have issues within our delivery system in the first place. So I want to say that again, because I think a lot of people want to take the easy route, and that's not why we're here, right? We're here to build sustainable businesses. So what I need you to hear is, if right now, with the clients you have here and now, you are struggling to drive results or it's taking a lot of your time, you cannot outsource that to someone else and expect it to work. Because what happens a lot of times with businesses is they don't have methodology. So they're being reactive. And we talk about this a lot. You've heard me say this before. If you haven't listened to the Bingeable mini series, I break this down in a whole lot more detail, but I'm going to give you kind of a quick overview of it. Is that oftentimes when we're working in small capacities, we're leveraging reactive programming. And reactive programming, simply put, is if you're working one-to-one, you're working done for you, you're essentially reacting to the needs of your clients as they come up. So everything you're doing is very bespoke. It's on the fly. It's things that you're doing as you're going through the process. Now, this is awesome. And I tell people, if you're at the beginning of your business, definitely do that. But for those of you who are listening, you're at a stage in your business where you're looking to scale, means that you have to move out of reactive programming and into proactive programming. So you can no longer operate in a capacity of where you're answering questions as they come up or you're solving the problem as it happens. You need to be able to be proactive in how you're supporting your clients. Now, this can look like you building out really key functions within your business. That can be how you're actually delivering that. So I'll give you a great example. In our Sustainable Profit Academy, in all of our programs, we have pre-recorded trainings that are going through the main components and the proprietary method of what we teach. Now, the goal of those is that it's kind of teaching the how and the why that it works. But we're not just giving that as like a course, because that doesn't work. And we know that, especially when you're driving high ticket programs and you're really creating something that's very bespoke to people and customized, which is exactly what we do with our clients. We recognize the fact that there needs to be that alternative sides to things. So while we have the proactive programming, which is not just creating a course, but it's actually has gone through this very intimate process of identifying where the biggest gap processes are, where people usually fall off, where people are struggling, and then proactively supporting that. And it requires you to have actually supported a good number of clients, like at least a dozen clients, and had a really secure process in place where you've been tracking and auditing these things. And then again, from what we identify, from the data that we collect, we then reverse engineer and create proactive programming. So when I tell you, I see so many people doing this in a really reactive state, and I'm talking multi-million dollar companies. I've been in their programs where I'm like, what is this? And the entire program has been built to be really reactive because they're just driving out tactics and ideas, but they haven't taken the time to really understand what it means to be proactive, what it means to read the data, what it means to look at the key factors that drive client results and where people are most likely going to fall off. So I'm not going to get into tons of details, but that's one aspect that we look at when we look at a scalable offer. Number two are results mechanisms. So these are what are going to actually drive those results and how can we systematically replace you throughout that process. So a great way for me to explain this is just to use myself as an example. Inside of Sustainable Profit Academy, one of the things we know drives results is actually being able to have someone work with you hand in hand. Now, what most people would do is just hand this off to like a customer service person or a co-coach in the program. But what I recognize is that people bought into my programs because they wanted to work with me and I wanted to work with them. And rather than me burn myself out trying to like support clients in crazy ways, I recognize that there's certain results mechanisms that allow me to create drivers within the business so that I don't have to be on all the time and my clients can drive results, but that allows me to still support them in very key factors. So I'll give you some examples. Our results mechanisms within Sustainable Profit Academy are that not only do we have our proactive programming and in a very multidimensional approach, which my incredible client and person that supports in my business, Erica Clark Alejo, has helped me build, but also in understanding that's going to be the proactive programming part of it, but the application happens together. So one of the things we do is we realized that a gap in the market was so many people were going through programs and feeling really frustrated because they were building for like 6 months, putting something together, and at the end they're turning it on and it's not working. And the problem was that they were using a process that required them to build and then turn something on. And we use like what we call compounding validation. And one of the biggest aspects of that is actually being involved in every piece of the building process. So when my clients are going through Sustainable Profit Academy and we're building methodology, we're building out these systems, all 4 systems within the high profit sales ecosystem, we realize that there's key pieces that a lot of people miss. And rather than wait till we get to the end and then turning it on and being like, oh shoot, now it's not working and they're screwed and we're frustrated and we're not driving results, what we realized is by implementing what we call business check-ins, where my clients are actually giving me a piece of the puzzle, I can go through that piece of the puzzle and I can indicate where some gaps are, where some opportunities are, and highlight the things that are coming out. We created even faster results, which meant our clients, rather than waiting 6 months to get results, see ROI in the first 30 days. Now, that is, first of all, mind-blowing in this industry, but second of all, allows me to, one, control the results that I'm able to get for my clients and know that I could bring on 100 clients tomorrow and still be able to drive the same results, but also allows me to have very specific checks in place that really allow me to have scalability and allow me to not need to always be on, because we can do these checks in the process and really not be putting out fires constantly. Another result mechanism we have is, for example, within our Facebook group, most people just have Facebook groups as like a throwaway aspect of the program. But what we do is we actually leverage our Facebook group as places where people are coming in and taking the implementation calls that we're building on our weekly calls and coming in and getting feedback on those, or screenshotting a conversation or taking pieces of that. And I can come in every single day and give step-by-step feedback. Again, driving better results, getting better results for my clients, more importantly, but also allowing me to remove myself out of some of that process because they have the checks and balances that allow them to drive results without consistently being fully dependent upon me. And the last piece of the puzzle when we talk about scalable offers is retention, knowing and understanding that the biggest driving force to the success of your company and ultimately being able to double your revenue is going to be in how you retain your clients. So I'll give you an example. In the last 30 days, $50,000 of our revenue generated was in the back end, was not in acquiring new clients, which meant that we had clients who had gone through another program, who went into another one, who re-signed on, who were able to really create that flow without needing more clients. And I think a lot of people don't understand the power behind this and understanding where and how to implement things within their process, not only in the delivery, but all the way from the beginning of the marketing, so that retention becomes a natural piece of the puzzle. And I talk about the fact that Amazon does this famously well because they've built retention into day one of how you meet them. Amazon Prime is literally a retention model, is a retention process that has been built in that you don't even realize because you're buying into it thinking, oh, I need Amazon Prime because it gives me all these benefits and stuff. but it's actually a retention program. So knowing and understanding how that builds in from day one, first impression, all the way throughout your business is going to change how you look at your business. So most businesses will spend exponentially more time on their client acquisition and completely forget about their delivery and retention strategy. Huge piece of the puzzle that I work on with my clients. Like when I tell you, we have gone through clients, whether I'm working with them one-on-one or Sustainable Profit Academy, we go through their programs, we nitpick it, we pull out the pieces of, hey, this is not going to work at scale, and here's what we need to put in place here. And being able to alleviate those gaps within the business model is going to completely shift your ability to create a profitable business. One of, if not the most profitable revenue stream in your business will be your ability to retain clients and have them give you an endless supply of referrals and retention. Prioritizing this will be the key to doubling your revenue. Okay. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is rapid relationships. One of the biggest lessons I learned was that business is not transactional. I hated my business at a certain point because it felt so freaking transactional. And I learned this from all the sales gurus who made it so transactional and, oh, you got to just have a ton of conversations and it's just about making tons of offers and blah, blah, blah. I get it. Those are all valuable pieces of the puzzle. But if you are someone who really values transformation and is in this business because you believe in driving amazing results for your clients and not just about hitting some number in your revenue, you're going to need to learn how to create rapid relationships. And it's really about how you create depth in those relationships quickly. And a lot of people don't understand this. So rather than creating depth in their relationships quickly, they choose to instead create a large number. So they're focusing on the quantity instead of the quality. Now we focus on quality. So how to drive fast results and fast relationship building within your process rather than me saying, I'm just going to meet 100 people, because that just doesn't work. I just think it's a very, very uncomfortable way to grow a business. Now, there's a fine line between making endless small talk that lands you in the friend zone and understanding the key that to developing depth in relationships is not about making it transactional. And this is where I developed the idea behind what I call rapid relationships. It's the same principle as making fast friends, where you meet someone one day and realize, oh my gosh, we connected so quickly and it feels like they're your overnight bestie. We're living in a time where people want to feel seen, understood, and like they matter to you. And the broken mentality of this over-automated funnels and pushing people to buy has killed the basis of sustainable growth, which is relationships. We're being told that we can't be bothered to get on sales calls. And we're being told that I don't want to reply to DMs from people connecting and asking questions. It's become a race on who can create a more transactional growth plan. And I'm not here for it. I'm not here for that style of business. I'm here for realizing that the secret to doubling revenue is going to be in the relationships we create. And more importantly, our ability to go deeper with people faster. So where most businesses are going to focus on increasing ad spend or adding more top of funnel resources, we take a different approach and look at how can we optimize what happens once people enter your world. I personally made this mistake 2 years ago where I was ready to scale and I stumbled on this 8-figure guru who had shared the key to successfully scaling was in having a team to get me there. And I feverishly hired a setter and a closer and an OBM team. And I put all my trust into the idea that the more removed I was and the more people I had meeting more people, the more that I was creating a growth plan. And it was like increasing leads and outbound conversation meant I would grow faster. And see, I, at that moment, very admittedly, will say I had chosen success above anything else. And sometimes that happens. And I want to give you context to that because I don't think it's a negative or a positive. It's just something that happens. It means that sometimes we want something so badly that we put that success up on a pedestal above everything else. And I've seen clients who come to me and say, Naz, I was making $100,000 months, but I was miserable. I hated my clients. I was bleeding money. And every month it felt like there was this bubble that was about to burst. And success can come at a cost if we're not careful at protecting those relationships. So here's what I want you to think about. Again, get that pen and paper. Number one, how easy is it for people to make a high intent decision? Okay. You haven't heard me talk about this. Go back to past episodes because I talk a lot about it. You have 3 versions of your clients that are coming in, right? 3 different levels of intent: high, mid, and low intent. Your high intent is the fastest decision maker. They are the people who enter your world one day, make a decision the next day. Most of you have optimized your entire marketing strategy for low intent, people who don't want to make decisions quickly, who need a lot of convincing and a lot of handholding. I want you to ask yourself, when it comes to doubling your revenue and optimizing your assets, how easy is it for someone to come into your world and make a high intent decision? Can they do that within the first 15 minutes of meeting you? If the answer is no, that is where we optimize. We are optimizing for our high intent decision maker. Number 2, how can you deepen the relationships within your prospects quickly? Okay. I'm going to talk a little bit about what we do with this, but you need to be able to realize it's not about necessarily more relationships. How can I deepen the relationships with my prospects as quickly as possible? A lot of times I'm seeing that people have a very touch and go process, meaning somebody joins their world and it's very, well, let's see what I'm putting out. Maybe I'm launching this week, or maybe they're going to find this piece of content and find it valuable. And you haven't really structured a process using the assets you already have that allows your audience to drive relationships really quickly. I call this silent stalking, which means like I learned really quickly. And one of the premises behind how I created bingeability was realizing that people like silent stalking. They like stalking you when you're not holding their hands. And the easier I made it for people to silently stalk me, the better results I was getting in my business. And the way I want you to think about it is if someone met you, they see a piece of content in another group, or they hear you on somebody's podcast and they're like, oh my gosh, I love what she had to say. How can they silently stalk you? How can they get to know you? And how deeply can you create a relationship without you needing to be on? The better you can systemize that process using assets you already have, the better you're going to drive results and leverage silent stalking, which is everyone's favorite tool. Number 3 is to humanize your conversions, okay? I'm going to tell you this right now. If you want to be fully removed out of every freaking piece of the process when it comes to conversions, it's going to suck for your audience and it's going to suck for you. And it doesn't mean that you have to be involved in every step, but it does mean that there needs to be a humanization throughout that process. So mass marketing and volume sales processes, they're not meant to humanize. They're really meant to dehumanize. They're really meant to look at people as a dollar sign. And it's uncomfortable for you. It's uncomfortable for them. And it just doesn't create that relationship that's necessary. So I want you to really think about, how can I create more humanization within my conversion process, not less? How can I leverage a piece of the pie that lets people get to know me and feel connected? Like, I will tell you, just this last week, I had somebody who said, hey, I can't afford to work with you yet, but I really want to. And I spent 3 minutes sending a voice memo with some things that I thought that were going to be valuable to her. That's humanizing my conversions. I don't look at people as a transaction. And for me, that's been hugely valuable in my business. And I think it's something we could all learn to do a little bit more of. Now, a huge principle behind bingeability and everything that I've been telling you guys about and everything that we do is that we've ingrained into our business model is that bingeability creates familiarity. There's a reason why I believe in the bingeable process. And it's not just like, hey, I'm going to create content and make it bingeable by like putting them next to each other. That's not what bingeability is. And I have people come to me every single day being like, oh, I'm trying to create a bingeable system like you. And I'm like, that's awesome. But it's not a matter of just stringing content together. Okay. I want to be very clear on that. The key to bingeability and the reason why like Netflix has such bingeable shows is the way that the shows are set up, right? The way that it's mentally creating bingeability. It's not just that it's there and we're watching it because there's thousands of other shows. It's that when you watch one show, the way it draws you to the next piece and the way that it's building upon something in order to create that. A lot of people don't understand this. It's what I call mimic decision making, and how we've done this throughout the buyer behavior process is actually realize that we mimic the way people are naturally consuming to make decisions, not consuming for consuming, right? We've created a process that takes into account decision hierarchy, applies that to your marketing, to your sales process. So you're creating the trust and depth in that relationship quickly, but also creating the end result, which is a decision. You can't just string together content. That's going to create consumers. And that's great if you just want people who are in your world cheering you on, but not buying from you. Okay. Bingeability is what has allowed us, and bingeability using the mimic decision-making process, I really want to be clear on that, is what allows you to collapse the time it takes for someone to feel connected to you. And combine that with those real human relationships, whether that's chatting in the DMs, having a face-to-face conversation on Zoom. And now people can take the feeling that they had and feel like they're meeting you in your marketing, and translate that to overnight besties and a hell yes. Like a great example of this is that oftentimes somebody will go through my bingeable mini series, and we set this up really methodically, where by the end of it, they feel like they know me so well that when we get on a call, they're like shell shocked that one, they're on a call with me, because it doesn't happen, I guess, in this market. But number two, they feel like they know me, and they're like, oh my gosh, when you said this made so much sense. And I thought about it in my life. And they're like literally talking to me like we have been best friends for months. That is done on purpose. I want you to learn how to develop fast relationships, rapid relationships, where you're creating that closeness in a short period of time. Somebody absolutely can have never met you before, go through my bingeable series, come out the other side having booked a call literally within 24 hours, and feel like they've known me for an entire lifetime, because we've built that into our process and we recognize the power behind rapid relationships. Okay. So relationships are going to expand beyond those who are buying right now. That relationship is with the people we support, the people that we refer, and the people who refer us with clients, etc. I really want you to look at relationships as a whole. It's looking at how do we sustain relationships just as much as creating them. Okay. Again, one way that we do this, one easy, simple thing that we do is that we maintain relationships with our past clients. So when someone's done working with me, it doesn't just end. We're not just done and like, bye bye, see ya. We continue to check in. We continue to cheer on. We continue to support our clients. Those relationships matter. Okay. And the last and final thing we want to talk about is a culture of growth and what I call asset optimization. I don't care if you're a coach making $10 million a year or an agency going after your first 7 figures. It is your job as the CEO to keep your finger on the pulse of business and create a culture of growth. There was a show not too long ago, which was like Undercover Boss, where you see these bosses who are so far removed, the CEOs of the companies that are so far removed out of the customer service process that they don't even recognize what things are happening. And then there you see the other ones who had been a part of the process and are in there and could make quick shifts, right? That is the difference between a successful business that's going to be sustainable long-term is how are you still integrating within that process? How are you keeping your finger on the pulse of your business and creating a culture of growth? Are you regularly gauging how your team is staying motivated? Are you spending time asking your audience questions to understand their desires and direction? Are you acknowledging that people are making decisions differently right now? The reality is that you are in charge of creating a culture of growth. And that means ensuring that your marketing is hitting its mark, that your sales supports your people, and that your delivery is moving the needle for your clients. And your ability to double your revenue is going to come from fostering that culture of growth, where you can make faster decisions and know when and how to move and when to stay put and optimize. One of my favorite tools to do this is what I call an asset optimization technique. So if you've been in business for a minimum of 2 years, you've most likely created many assets in your business, anything from podcasts, blogs, posts, workshops, et cetera, et cetera. The problem is so often we create these assets and then put them in a Google Drive folder and forget all about them. It's like where things go to die, right? Now, 6 months ago, I saw a shift in the way that people were buying. And the only reason I could recognize this was, again, having my finger to the pulse and recognizing that through the marketing process, people were, clicking to book a call, but not actually booking it. There was just a lot more fear in that process. And rather than me just be like, this sucks and let me just churn in more leads, or, hey, let me just shut down this program, I realized that the root of the problem was more fear. People were tired of feeling like they were just buying into a program or a person only to enter their world and realize that they weren't who they thought they were, right? They needed to touch and feel and experience working with someone before forking over multiple 5 figures. We acknowledged this shift and integrated an experiential approach where we ran monthly workshops using past assets or leveraged the assets we had from previous workshops to help people see that first-handedly. What this allowed us to do is it took those clients who were not taking action based on fear and created an opportunity for us to build more rapid relationships, integrate more opportunity using assets we already had. So we didn't have to go build out anything new. Another great example of this is we leveraged a process. If you go onto our website at Next Level Up CEO and you go to podcasts, you'll see we've navigated where we took our top favorite podcasts. This is done on purpose. We took assets we previously had that we knew that when someone entered our world and they just needed more relationship building, more opportunity to see and feel and touch who we are, that we have a way for them to be able to binge through those and get what we know is going to be important for them to be able to make a decision. Same thing goes if you have a past asset that performed really freaking well, like maybe you did a workshop, but you're like, oh, I don't want to run this workshop. selling that workshop. So we sell, for example, our lead flood workshop. It performed really well when it was live, but what was really awesome about it is as a way to ingrain to people and see me firsthand, they can still experience that. There's so many ways to leverage assets you already have to develop deeper relationships, create an ecosystem of growth, and really have this culture of growth within things. So what I need you to do is to take the time to regularly review your business markers. And if you don't know how to do this, you don't know where to even begin, you're like, Naz, that sounds awesome. Everything you've said sounds great. I don't even know where to start. It's time to book a call. Like, we do this regularly in our business. We look at your business as a whole. It is not a single piece of the puzzle. It is looking at it holistically and understanding each piece operates together, not independently of each other. So the way that you show up in your marketing is directly going to drive the level of clients you're bringing into your business. And the way you get results for your clients is directly going to drive the type of clients you consistently bring in. So everything is connected. And oftentimes we're so close to our business. Like, I've had clients who are in the marketing world for 20 years, or have been in the business for 15 years, and they can't see it. They're too close to it. I call it proximity genius for a reason. And if you're that type of person, whether you've been in business and you're just like, I want to fast track it, I'm sick and tired of trying to figure out all the pieces and making sure all of them are working together, I need an ecosystem. I recognize the need for that. Or you're, again, somebody who has been in business for quite some time and you just want to get better at leveraging the assets you have so you can create scalability using asset optimization. Let's talk. Like, let's get real and let's talk about that next step. So your easiest and fastest ways to book a growth optimization call with me. We'll talk about different ways that we can support you in doing this, whether that's in a short-term process. We have things as simple as like a singular call that's attached to 30 days of Voxer support, to 30-day intensives, to our full-blown programs. We're going to talk about specifically what your biggest opportunities are, and then literally show you how we can support you in doing that. So if you want to check that out, you're ready to take that next step, which I'm sure many of you are, head on over to easyesleads.com/call, book a call. It's done directly with me. We'll go through that. We'll talk a little bit about where those gaps and opportunities are. I'll show you what you need and what's missing, and really be able to show you how we can support you in doing that. Again, head on over to easyesleads.com/call. But if you're just like, Naz, everything you're saying sounds amazing, I just want to learn a little bit more. All the things we've talked about is all a piece of the puzzle within our EasyS method. Now, if you haven't heard me say this before, our EasyS method breaks down to 3 simple things. Number 1 is developing innovation. Innovation is the key to all of your business success. And if you are struggling to really be able to create scalability in your business, you want to double that revenue year after year, you need to be able to create innovation within your business. This is what's going to allow you to really make your competition irrelevant, but more importantly, stop chasing leads, stop needing to compete in a saturated marketplace, and create a market of one. This is where clients come to develop a methodology that creates a true market of one that actually feeds everything else they're doing. So if you want to stop chasing leads, stop playing volume marketing game, innovative methodology is exactly what we do. We help you identify where the innovation within your market is, the opportunity points for that, and then we show you how to develop the innovation within your process right now. So that's the first thing that we do. The second thing is we actually build the growth ecosystems. That's actually looking at your marketing and your sales ecosystem and building those pieces together. So we do this through our inbound demand marketing system. So how we actually drive new leads into your business is through our inbound demand marketing system. So you're bringing in high intent, ready to buy leads, but also being able to support those who don't buy immediately through our one-touch content system, which essentially what it does is it mirrors the way that people buy for different reasons, identifies those different trigger points, and allows us to create those different trigger points, leveraging just 3 to 4 pieces of content a week to create a weekly client acquisition process. And then bingeable sales system is that piece that is for our 2-lane sales highway that's specifically focused on getting your high intent leads to make a decision quickly. That's your top of funnel. When people enter your world, they're coming into your bingeable sales system. They're going through and understanding exactly what your methodology is and being able to make fast decisions so that you're able to really decrease the sales cycle, get faster decisions being made in your business, and really be able to stop turning through leads and get people who are able to sell themselves through our mimic decision-making process. The last but not least is really being able to identify your pure profit strategy, which is how do we identify and drive results through your scalable offers. So looking at how we can actually create retention and how we can deliver incredible, fantastic results to your clients at scale. If you want to learn a little bit more about how the EasyS method works and you haven't checked it out already, go check out our Netflix Effect mini series where I break down exactly how we get leads to sell themselves using this 3-step method that applies the Netflix effect. Head on over to easyesleads.com. Now, as always, we love and appreciate when you take a quick minute to go and rate and review and share this podcast episode with somebody else. And as always, here's to keeping it real, and we'll see you next time.